I would turn down hooking up with the finest girl in town over a gang fight. I loved to fight.
Okay.
I loved it like you would not believe.
The big screen once praised Michael Jai White like a living legend, the first black man to ever wear the mask of a Hollywood superhero. A powerhouse of martial arts, armed with 7 black belts and fists that could make steel flinch. To the world, he was untouchable, muscles carved from stone, a grin of pure confidence. But behind that shine and fame, shadows waited, and when they emerged, they left everyone speechless. His childhood was wild and restless, his teenage years hiding a secret that changed everything. At just 15, life hit him with a truth that would follow him forever. His marriage later cracked under betrayal, fierce arguments erupted on set, and worst of all, he faced the unbearable heartbreak of losing his own son to COVID-19. Each wound cut into the image of the unstoppable hero. Each scar told a darker story. Michael Jai White, a symbol of strength on screen, but what if the real man carried more pain than anyone could imagine? Would you dare to see the truth behind his glory? The lights, the fame, the fights, all hiding a life built on grit and grief. From the outside, it looked like pure triumph, but the path that shaped him was full of storms. He wasn't just an actor who threw punches. He was a man who had lived through every kind of fight. Born on November 10, 1967, in Brooklyn, New York, one of the roughest neighborhoods in America, young Michael grew up surrounded by crime and chaos. Violence wasn't something he saw in movies. It was right outside his door. At 7 years old, he walked into a martial arts class for the first time, and no one could have guessed that step would change his destiny forever. From that moment, he trained like a man possessed. Through the sweat, bruises, and broken bones, he mastered style after style. Han Karate, Goju Ryu, Taekwondo, Kobudo, Tang Sudo, and even Jiu-Jitsu. 7 black belts later, he wasn't just skilled, he was a living weapon. That kind of achievement, even the masters respected it. It was pure proof of his discipline, his fire, and the unbreakable will that would one day make him a star. Before Hollywood knew his name, White was shaping young lives as a martial arts instructor. He didn't just teach kicks and strikes, he taught survival. He showed kids there was a way out of the same violence that once threatened him. That passion for teaching helped him learn how to connect with people, how to express emotion, skills that later turned him into an actor who could punch through hearts as easily as he could through walls. By the late 1980s, Hollywood was desperate for new action faces, and when producers saw Michael's strength, charm, and real combat power, they couldn't look away. His first role might have been small, but it was the start of something huge. And then came his breakthrough, portraying the mighty Mike Tyson in the 1995 TV movie Tyson. Standing tall at 6'1" with that sharp stare and raw intensity, Michael didn't just act, he became Iron Mike. His performance hit so hard that both fans and critics nodded in pure respect. That was the moment his career exploded, and the world finally saw who Michael Jai White really was. Then came history. Spawn 1997. The movie itself had mixed reviews, but what it represented was unforgettable. Michael Jai White became the first black actor ever to play a comic book superhero in a major Hollywood film. At a time when the industry still held deep biases, he broke through every barrier and claimed his spot in film history. The early 2000s kept his name glowing, teaming up with Steven Seagal in Exit Wounds, 2001, dominating in Undisputed 2 and Last Man Standing, 2006. Action films that martial arts fans still talk about today. And when 2011 came, he didn't just act. He took the director's chair for Never Back Down 2, The Beatdown. The movie became a sensation among young fighters everywhere, proving that Michael Jai White wasn't just another tough guy. He was the real deal on and off the screen. One film turned Michael Jai White from a star into a full-on legend, Black Dynamite, 2009. A wild, slick, and over-the-top parody of 1970s blaxploitation cinema. White didn't just play the lead. He co-wrote it, produced it, and delivered every punchline and roundhouse with style. The movie was electric, funny, fast, and fearless, showing the world that Michael wasn't just about fists and fight scenes, but also creativity and brain power. Over the years, this man's done it all. More than 90 movies and TV shows under his belt. He's gone toe-to-toe with big names like Jean-Claude Van Damme, Steven Seagal, and Wesley Snipes. And when he popped up in Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, 2008, even with just a supporting role as the slick Gotham crime boss Gamble, he owned the screen. His face-off with Heath Ledger's Joker, chilling and unforgettable. Even in his 50s, White isn't slowing down, not even close. He's still throwing punches on screen, directing, producing, and staying true to his roots. What makes him stand out even more is how he keeps passing that knowledge on, teaching the next generation of martial artists, just like he did back in Brooklyn. To fans everywhere, he's the perfect mix of a strict master and a show-stopping action icon. His story isn't just about action or fame, it's about beating the odds. From the rough blocks of Brooklyn to global stardom, Michael Jai White's life screams determination. Every hit he's taken, every loss, every success, it all became fuel for his rise. But here's where the tale takes a darker twist. Because behind all the lights and cheering fans, there are secrets that shook even his most loyal followers. One of those secrets goes all the way back to his youth, the shocking truth of becoming a father at just 15. Picture it, a teenager, still trying to balance school and the dojo, suddenly caught in a situation way beyond his years. In an interview with Vlad TV, Michael dropped the bomb himself, saying he once had as many as 14 girlfriends during high school. Wild, right? But the real shock came when he revealed that one of those relationships led to his first child, when he was just 15 and the mother was 19. He spoke honestly about it, admitting that if the law had been strictly applied, the mother of my son could have been taken to court. That statement hit hard, not because he said it for attention, but because he faced it head on. A teenage boy still figuring out life, suddenly dealing with fatherhood. The kind of weight that could crush anyone. In the 1980s, for a young black teen in America, that kind of pressure was brutal. But instead of hiding, White carried the truth like a badge of accountability. Years later, when he was already a Hollywood name, he opened up about that chapter to confront his past. But what makes it truly heartbreaking is what happened after. His son, the child of that turbulent time, faced his own battles. He struggled with hardship and addiction for years, and in 2021, at just 38, he passed away from COVID-19. Michael later shared that the virus was only the final blow, explaining that his son's body had already been worn down by years of destructive living. That revelation tore through fans' hearts, not because it was scandalous, but because it was raw truth. It showed how one reckless moment in youth could echo across decades. For Michael, it was a painful reminder of how early mistakes can come back as heartbreak later in life. Back then, Michael Jai White was just a young fighter chasing dreams in a tough city. He wasn't ready, not mentally, not financially, to be a father. Imagine that. One side of his life was the dojo, filled with discipline and hope. And on the other side, the cries of a newborn baby reminding him that childhood was officially over. This hidden part of his life flipped the script on his public image. The man the world saw as an unstoppable hero had once been a lost teen, trapped between dreams and responsibility. It makes you wonder, maybe that legendary self-control, that calm fire behind his eyes, came from surviving that early shock. Maybe that's the real secret behind Michael Jai White's strength, forged not just in combat, but in life itself. Did Michael Jai White turn his fear into fire, using pain as the fuel that made him the unstoppable action star we know today? He once admitted that becoming a father so young completely changed who I was. That single moment forced him to grow up fast, to see life through a tougher lens. But even now, he carries that scar deep inside, a silent reminder of how heavy life can get before fame ever came his way. Losing his son at just 38 wasn't only heartbreak, it was a brutal echo of choices made too early in life. Now, when people talk about Michael Jai White, they don't just think of Spawn, Undisputed 2, or Black Dynamite. They see a man who's walked through storms, a fighter who's faced more than punches and kicks, a father who's lived through tragedy and still stood tall. That secret from when he was 15, though painful, helped forge the raw, unbreakable version of White the world sees today. Every star hides secrets, but no fame can erase the scars of youth. For Michael Jai White, his first real hit didn't come from a sparring match. It came from destiny itself. The day fate made him a father before he was even ready to be a man. That blow shaped his life, setting the stage for every battle that followed, including the ones outside the ring. And so came the next storm, infidelity and a loud public divorce that had Hollywood whispering. If becoming a father at 15 forced him into manhood too soon, then adulthood tested him all over again. This time with scandal, heartbreak, and headlines that refused to die down. In 2005, Michael tied the knot with Dr. Courtney Chapman, a respected obstetrician gynecologist. Strong, brilliant, and admired. To everyone watching, they looked perfect. The power couple straight out of a dream. A Hollywood action hero and a successful doctor, shining side by side on red carpets. People believed Michael had finally found peace after years of chaos. But just 6 years later, that picture-perfect love story fell apart. When the news of their 2011 divorce hit, fans were stunned. Yet what really shocked people were the rumors that followed. Multiple entertainment outlets, including Rolling Out, claimed that Michael had been romantically involved with Claudia Jordan, a glamorous TV host and former model. The whispers said the affair lasted nearly 3 years, a betrayal that shattered the image of stability the couple once showed the world. Claudia Jordan, well known for her charm and confidence, was no stranger to the spotlight. Photos of her and White at events, and even working together on creative projects, only fanned the flames. The tabloids exploded with speculation, calling it a devastating blow for Chapman, the woman believed to have supported Michael emotionally and financially during his climb to fame. White never publicly admitted to the affair, but his silence made the rumors even louder. In Hollywood, silence can sound like confession. The image of the strong family man began to crumble, and suddenly people weren't talking about his talent. They were talking about his scandal. The divorce didn't end quietly either. Reports surfaced of legal fights over assets and custody arrangements. Insiders claimed that Chapman was the one who initiated the split, while Michael tried to stay low-key, avoiding public confrontation. Though few official details ever came out, fans and gossip columns spun endless theories. Some painted Michael as ungrateful, others cast Claudia as the woman who broke the marriage. But what hit hardest was when it all happened, right as Michael's career was reaching new heights. After Spawn, he had a lineup of big projects waiting, but this personal chaos stained his reputation. Producers started pulling back, and soon, his name was showing up in scandal stories instead of movie posters. In Hollywood, one rumor can hit harder than any punch, and for Michael Jai White, this one left a mark that no amount of training could block. Michael Jai White knew exactly how Hollywood worked, and he played the game his own way. Just like when he rose from the chaos of his teenage years, he faced the noise of scandal with silence. No memoirs, no tearful talk shows, no dramatic interviews. Instead, he buried himself in his craft and let his performances speak louder than any headline could. Over time, the gossip faded, but the memory of that broken marriage stayed carved deep into the story of his life. Years later, after finding love again with actress Jillian Ileana Waters, White spoke in one rare interview about what he'd learned. "Some lessons can only be learned at a very heavy cost," he said. Short, quiet, but powerful. That one line said more than any confession ever could. It was like he was admitting, in his own calm way, that the past never really disappears. The irony is impossible to miss. On screen, Michael was always the man who fought for love and family. Loyal, strong, protective. But in real life, he had once fallen into the very traps his characters would die fighting against: betrayal, heartbreak, and scandal. The difference between the hero the world adored and the man behind the camera had never been so striking. That old marital drama wasn't just some forgotten gossip. It exposed another side of White's personality: passionate, fierce, sometimes reckless. The kind of man who could dive headfirst into both love and trouble without looking back. His life was turning into its own action movie. From model husband to headline-grabbing heartbreaker, every twist hitting harder than the last. And yet, through all that chaos, Michael Jai White kept climbing. He didn't let the whispers stop him. He stayed in the gym, kept filming, kept proving that no scandal could knock him down. Fans stuck with him, cheering him on like a fighter who refused to tap out. But still, one question haunted his story. Were those first cracks in his marriage the warning signs of something deeper? A hint of the heartbreak that was waiting just around the corner? Because soon another tragedy would strike. One that no fame, no strength, and no amount of martial arts training could prepare him for. The wound that will never heal. The loss of his eldest son. The same son born when Michael was just 15. The secret he once tried to hide now turned into the deepest pain of his life. Gone at 38 because of COVID-19, it wasn't just a family loss. It was a heartbreak that shook his entire world. Think about it. A man who's thrown thousands of punches on screen, beaten villains, faced down explosions, and played the unbeatable hero. Yet when life threw this invisible enemy at him, he was helpless. In an emotional conversation with Vlad TV, Michael's voice cracked as he explained what happened. His son had been hospitalized for a long time, his body already worn out from years of fighting addiction. COVID was merely the final cold, merciless strike, he said. It's like the disease had just been waiting, and when my son's body couldn't take it anymore, it struck. Those words carried the weight of a man reliving every painful second. That heartbreak hit even harder because of what it meant. This was the same child who had forced the teenage Michael to become a father way too soon. For years, he had tried to guide his son, to pull him away from the same dangers he once escaped himself. But temptation has claws, and the young man's life took a dark path. Addiction took hold, dragging him further down until his body simply couldn't keep fighting. For any parent, watching that kind of slow self-destruction is agony. For a father like Michael Jai White, it was unbearable. When COVID swept across the world, everyone felt fear. But for Michael, it wasn't just another headline. It came straight for his family. His son was gone at 38, an age where life should have just been hitting its stride. Michael later admitted that the loss felt like a punch straight to the heart, harder than anything he'd ever experienced on screen. That single sentence showed more pain than any performance could. What made it even more haunting was how quietly it all happened. The American media didn't sensationalize his tragedy because Michael didn't let them. He kept it private, almost sacred, speaking about it only when he was ready. And when fans finally heard the truth, they saw their hero in a whole new light. The unstoppable fighter, the on-screen superhero, finally brought to his knees by something no one could fight. That loss didn't just break his heart, it revealed the man beneath the legend. Raw, grieving, human. For all the fame and all the strength, Michael Jai White's story reminded the world of one hard truth. Even heroes can bleed, and sometimes the strongest punches life throws are the ones you never see coming. The world had seen Michael Jai White throw lightning-fast punches and crush villains on screen, but almost no one had seen him like this, not as a hero, but as a heartbroken father. What made his tragedy cut even deeper was how it tied back to the secret that started it all. His son, born when Michael was just 15, had been living proof of that reckless moment of youth. And now, with his passing, White was forced to face the cruel truth that the past never disappears. Fame, money, success. None of it could rewrite fate. It was the cruelest twist imaginable. A man who seemed unstoppable on screen, suddenly powerless against real-life loss. Fans who once laughed at Black Dynamite, cheered for Spawn, or admired the fighter with 7 black belts now saw him through a different lens, not as a legend carved in stone, but as a human being. Raw, hurting, vulnerable. The superhero mask had fallen, and what was left was a man who'd taken one blow too many from life itself. Maybe that's why Michael Jai White speaks so sharply now. He's lived through pain that stripped away every filter. When someone has survived that kind of heartbreak, they've got nothing left to hide. This revelation about his son became one of the most shocking family truths fans had ever heard because it didn't just show his grief. It reminded everyone that even the strongest can break. No matter how powerful he looked, even Michael couldn't fight destiny. He could spin kick through a wall, but he couldn't kick away fate. His son's death during a global pandemic carved that truth into him like a scar that time will never heal. But life wasn't done testing him yet, because soon his blunt honesty would spark a Hollywood storm of its own. Michael Jai White has never been the kind of man to bite his tongue. So when he clashed with one of Hollywood's most controversial figures, Steven Seagal, the entertainment world exploded. This wasn't just a personal beef, it was a public showdown that exposed the ugly tension inside the martial arts film world. The feud's roots went back to the early 2000s when Seagal was still riding high on his Aikido-inspired fame. He invited Michael 3 different times to join his movie On Deadly Ground. For most young actors, that would have been a dream shot at stardom, but Michael wasn't impressed. He turned it down flat, saying the scripts made no sense and had zero substance. Later, in a Vlad TV interview, he didn't hold back. "Those were stupid scripts. I didn't want to waste my time." That line hit Hollywood like a kick to the ribs, a direct insult to Seagal's ego, and everyone knew it. But the fire didn't stop there. On a recent Jackson podcast, White doubled down, calling Seagal out again. He said straight up, "Steven Seagal has never been a real fighter. All he's ever done is wave his arms around on screen. In my life, I've never seen Seagal take a real punch." Boom. That statement split the martial arts community right down the middle. Some cheered him on, saying he just told the truth, while others accused him of being disrespectful. Still, Michael's not just some actor pretending to know martial arts. This man earned 7 black belts. He's been teaching since he was a kid and has decades of real-world combat training. So when he said Seagal wasn't a true fighter, he wasn't talking trash. He was speaking from experience. Aikido, Seagal's main discipline, has long been criticized as flashy but not practical in real combat. White simply said what many had whispered for years. His tough personality made sure the message hit loud and clear. And that wasn't even the only time he called Hollywood out. Michael once hinted that most martial arts stars in American movies were just performers, actors edited to look like fighters, not the real thing. According to him, American cinema's full of paper fighters, people made famous by editing and effects, not by skill. That line caused a major uproar. Studios didn't like it, actors didn't like it, but Michael didn't care. Keeping the peace never mattered more than keeping it real. Behind those fiery words was years of frustration boiling over. Michael had given his life to the craft, blood, sweat, bone-deep discipline, while watching others rise to fame just because they looked good in slow motion. To him, that was a betrayal of everything martial arts stood for. His public clash with Seagal wasn't just about two egos, it was the sound of a man who'd had enough. That moment became his breaking point, the punch that hit the industry in the face. Michael Jai White wasn't just fighting another action star, he was fighting the whole illusion of Hollywood. And whether people agreed with him or not, one thing was clear. He'd rather speak the hard truth than live behind a fake smile. Michael Jai White never backed down from a fight, not on screen, not in life, and definitely not with his words. When he spoke out, he didn't hold back. Audiences deserve to know the truth, he once said, and that truth hit Hollywood hard, because not every action star is a real martial artist, and Michael made sure everyone heard it, but his honesty came at a cost. Some producers started whispering that he was difficult to work with, while Steven Seagal and his fans went after him online, throwing insults and hate. Yet, even as Hollywood turned its back, the traditional martial arts world stood up for him. Real fighters respected his courage. They knew he was right. Videos from respected instructors on YouTube began popping up, breaking down his comments and agreeing that Seagal's power existed only on screen, not in reality. That war of words became one of the loudest and most talked about feuds in Michael Jai White's career. It ripped open the hidden divide inside action cinema. On one side, true fighters who lived and breathed martial arts, and on the other, stars who only looked tough under the bright lights. Once again, Michael showed that he wasn't just an actor playing strong, he was strong. A man bold enough to call out Hollywood's fakes right to their faces. People love him for that fire, and fear him for it too. They love him because he dares to speak the truth, but they fear him because that truth burns through illusions. His words shook up the industry like an earthquake, cracking the polished image of untouchable icons. And that's exactly what sets Michael apart. He doesn't live on flattery or fame. He lives by the code of martial ethics built on truth, respect, and discipline. Even off-screen, he kept throwing punches, not with his fists, but with words that hit just as hard. But soon, his battles would leave the movie set and hit much closer to home. Because the next fight wasn't about pride or ego, it was about family. If his verbal clashes shook Hollywood, then what came next hit his personal life like a storm. This time, there were no rumors, no gossip, just hard legal documents and a courtroom filled with truth. In 2019, Michael was living with a woman named Ashley Reeder, and together they had a child. For a while, everything looked peaceful, a fresh start after years of drama. But peace didn't last. Love soured, tempers flared, and before long, they were at war, this time in front of a judge. According to court filings, Reeder accused White of reckless driving while their child was in the car, describing a terrifying scene of him swerving and roaring behind the wheel, forcing other cars off the road and almost causing a serious accident. She also claimed he lost his temper often, acting aggressive and out of control during confrontations, which made her fear for their child's safety. The accusations were serious, too serious for the court to overlook. After multiple hearings, the judge made a decision that hit Michael where it hurt most. His custodial time was sharply reduced, giving Reeder primary custody of their child. The ruling stated clearly that Mr. White's behavior placed the child in dangerous situations. For a man who had built his entire image on strength, protection, and control, this was a brutal blow to his pride. Michael Jai White didn't stay silent. He appealed the ruling, insisting that he'd been misunderstood, that what happened was a single mistake blown out of proportion. But in 2024, the Arizona Court of Appeals upheld most of the ruling. The message was clear. No more full custody, no more leeway. He would have to follow strict conditions moving forward. For a father who'd already buried one son, the thought of losing another, even just to a court order, was devastating. Hollywood tabloids wasted no time spinning the story, turning courtroom documents into front-page drama. Action hero defeated by fatherhood, screamed the headlines. 7 black belts, but powerless in court, splashed across entertainment feeds. The press took the image of the unstoppable fighter and flipped it upside down. Yet behind all the noise was something far sadder. The truth of a man already carrying unbearable grief, now facing another heartbreak he couldn't fight his way out of. Michael Jai White, the martial artist who'd conquered Hollywood and survived tragedy, found himself in another battle he couldn't win, the kind that leaves no bruises but breaks something deeper inside. He'd lost his eldest son to COVID-19, and now risked being separated from another child because of a court's judgment. It was tragedy layered upon tragedy, proof that even the strongest heroes can find themselves on their knees when life decides to strike again. Once again, fate hit Michael Jai White right where it hurt most: fatherhood. What stunned people wasn't just the legal case itself, but the painful irony behind it. On screen, White was the fearless protector, the man who shielded his loved ones and fought evil head-on. Yet in real life, the same system that applauded his heroism on screen declared that he couldn't protect his own child. What a cruel twist. It was a paradox too sharp to ignore. Hollywood's action king, humbled in court. After the custody case, Michael fell silent. He didn't lash out, didn't explain, didn't play the victim. He just went quiet, focusing on his craft like a man carrying invisible weight. Those who knew the story, though, would never forget. Behind that calm smile, they saw the shadow of a father still haunted by the court's decision. The man behind the spotlight. When you trace Michael Jai White's 30-year journey, you see more than just the star of Spawn, Undisputed 2, or Black Dynamite. You see a whole different kind of story, one that no Hollywood writer could have dreamed up. A story of triumph and tragedy, strength and heartbreak, fame and fragility. On screen, Michael is unstoppable, a human storm. His spinning kicks snap through the air like thunder, his punches hit with bone-shaking precision, and that cold stare could freeze any opponent in their tracks. Fans saw him as a legend, the first black superhero to lead a major film, a fighter who carved his own lane in an industry that wasn't built to let him in. Hollywood might have been hesitant, but it couldn't deny his power. Yet off-screen, that same hero fell again and again, not in choreographed fights, but in the brutal ring of real life. At 15, he became a father, carrying a responsibility far too heavy for a kid. Later, his marriage to Dr. Courtney Chapman crumbled under rumors of betrayal and pain that chased him for years. Then came the gut-wrenching loss of his eldest son to COVID-19, a hit that no amount of training could ever block. And finally, the custody battle with Ashley Reeder, where a judge ruled that Michael Jai White is not safe enough to be granted full custody of his child. Each of these moments left a scar, but together they revealed something raw and real: the truth of the man behind the myth. He's not immortal, not flawless. He's human, a man who has stumbled, loved, lost, and learned. Maybe that's why people still connect with him, because his pain makes him real. None of us are untouchable, and neither is he. Maybe that's his greatest power, not perfection, but persistence. Some say Michael's blunt honesty makes him dangerous in Hollywood, and maybe they're right. He's the guy who called out Steven Seagal without hesitation, who exposed paper fighters pretending to be martial artists. But that fire, that truth-telling spirit, mixed with everything he's been through, shaped him into something authentic and raw. He doesn't chase the spotlight anymore. He owns it on his own terms. Now in his 50s, Michael Jai White is still doing what he loves: acting, directing, and teaching martial arts. His body still sharp, his movements still lightning fast, his focus unshakable. He's been married to actress Jillian Ileana Waters since 2015, and together they've built something peaceful, a new home, a new chapter. Yet even now, the past follows him like a shadow that never fades. But instead of running from it, he carries it with him, a part of the story that made him who he is. Maybe to some, those dark secrets have dimmed his star power, but to others, they make him shine brighter. Because true strength isn't about being untouchable. It's about standing tall even after you've been knocked down again and again. His light only glows this strong because it's been tested by darkness. Michael Jai White, the hero who fought villains on screen and battled fate off it. A man who's taken every kind of hit life can throw and still keeps standing. Behind the movie magic and martial arts glory lies something deeper, a human being battered but unbroken. And as the curtain closes on his story, one haunting question still echoes through the silence. Can we still admire a hero once we've seen all his darkest secrets? If you want to keep uncovering shocking truths and untold Hollywood stories no one dares to mention, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and tap that notification bell so you never miss a single twist. And drop a comment below. What about Michael Jai White's story shocked you the most? The best responses might just show up in our next video.